everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson, Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and I have a wonderful panel of the usual suspects tonight. We've got Dan Earl, a family history guy. Hi, Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's good to have you. We've got Laura Hedgecock, our treasure chest of memories girl there.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And I hope everybody had a great Christmas and Happy New Year. It's been a couple of weeks since we've gotten together. And last but not least, we've got Melissa Barker, our archive lady.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
So glad to have everybody. We thought, since we're all starting to get things packed up. Now, my daughter puts all of her Christmas, all of her holiday things up the day after Thanksgiving. And then the day after Christmas, they're gone. So she's just up and down. She's just up and down. You too, Melissa? So I thought
I put mine up actually the week before Thanksgiving because we have Thanksgiving at my home. And that's the only time that any of my family sees my Christmas stuff.
Oh,
because we go somewhere else for Christmas.
I gotcha.
And so I put it up for everybody to see at Thanksgiving. And then I take it down the day after Christmas.
The day after Christmas. Yeah, we usually do ours maybe New Year's Day, depending, but we've had so many sniffles and things going around that everybody's like, we'll keep it up for a while. Dan, do you have all yours up and down?
No, well, we usually put up ours. Usually we have to have the turkeys in the Tupperware is the phrase at our house before Christmas can begin, before we can start playing Christmas songs. Otherwise, my wife would have it this slow creep where, like, right after Valentine's Day, it would be going up. And so that's the rule. This year, though, I said it would be okay if we did a little early because my mother-in-law came up to visit for our daughter's baptism. And she's right now serving a mission in Texas, and so she was able to get some time off and come up for that. And so she could have Christmas with her family. We put some decorations up a wee bit early, but we usually leave ours up. I grew up in a liturgical faith, and so we leave ours up until Epiphany. And so we still have a couple more days. So
that's the same here. We wait definitely before my manger scene. The Magi are still spread across the room because they're still.
They haven't made it. That's right. They haven't made it yet.
So they don't make it to the manger until Epiphany.
Right.
And so after that, whenever it's convenient that we take everything down, we do move the Advent candles off the fireplace. Yeah, the day after Christmas, put on somewhere else, and then we also what I used to do, but we kind of did the whole kind of a liturgical preparing for Christmas, that the decorations went up slowly.
Oh, that's nice.
But then you're constantly doing it and you don't relax that it's done.
You don't feel like you're done. Yeah.
So now it's like maybe gradually doing it over a week and not over the month so that we get it done and we can enjoy it.
I will say that the Christmas lights go on our house whenever that warm day in November is, because there's always that day that's just preternaturally warm for November in Michigan, where it's like 60 degrees. I'm like, I'm taking the day off of work and putting those Christmas lights up. Exactly. I can do it in just a pair of pants and a t-shirt instead of being bundled up like Nanook of the North and climbing up a ladder in snow pants,
Yeah, in Michigan, you can tell who celebrates Christmas and who doesn't, because on that warm day in November, the people that celebrate Christmas are out in their yard putting up lights. Those are the people.
I grew up in a household where my parents kept the Christmas lights up year round and they never took them down.
Wow.
And so one of the funny things that my husband we are always laughing about is that I met my husband on a blind date. We actually went to the same school, but our school was so big that we had some of the same friends, but we never knew each other. Wow. And so our first date was a blind date. And so he called me and he said, well, so how do I know where your house is? And this is April the 3rd, by the way. And I said, oh, I'll turn on the Christmas lights for you. Because my parents would use it for the pizza guy. And so all these years we've been married, he always reminds me, I should have known when you told me that the Christmas lights were on, or April, what I was getting into. So
that's really funny. Well, nowadays, for those of us that live in neighborhoods where we have the homeowners associations, a lot of them will let you keep your lights on. They tell you have to take them down by a certain day.
There's one neighborhood in our town where this whole like cul-de-sac in a subdivision, like there's 6 houses, and they all hire the same company, so their lights are virtually identical, and they're super precise and crisp. They're not like,
Uh-huh.
hanging
Yeah.
a little loose
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's done by some guy balancing on a ladder. It's like these are professionals, and it looks super nice. And like every line on the house, no matter
Yeah.
how steep the pitch on the roof is,
Yep.
is covered in lights. And so we do a light tour every year with the kids.
Yeah.
And
My
so-
son, I've got a son that hires somebody to go do his house for him. And that's the way it looks. Just so it's beautiful.
Right. It should be if you're hiring somebody
You're hiring
else. Like
somebody, not a
if I
second,
hired
not a
somebody else and
yeah.
my house looked like mine, I'd be upset.
Ours is always where the lights are almost, but not quite. They don't meet, that kind of thing, no matter how hard you try. And you're like, wait a minute, last year it worked. Why isn't it working this year? That kind
I
of.
know, and I get lights that die. Like I wrap.
Yes.
I have a weeping tree that I try to make look like a palm or palmetto tree, and whatever color I use for the trunk, the middle line dies.
Of course.
So it's just like a dotted line. It's not really.
That's too funny. Well, we thought that we've done heirlooms for our paternal side and for our maternal side. And Laura said, why don't we do heirlooms for holidays, for Christmas? What do we have that is designated an heirloom? Now, I've been noticing since Christmas was over, that there have been people on Facebook that are actually packing up and giving away some of their Christmas things because they're planning on downsizing. And so I guess you're going to have to really go through those things and make sure there's nothing that brings back memories that is Christmas for you, so you don't accidentally give something away. I'll just go ahead and start. I don't know if I've showed you guys this little guy before, but this is Rudolph. Rudolph goes on our tree every year because when I was a little girl, I got Rudolph. I was about 2 or 3, and I insisted that Rudolph went on the tree. So every year my dad would pick me up and just like right underneath the star, right under those branches that are right under there. That's where Rudolph has sat all these years. And so every year when I got married, my mom says, you need to take Rudolph with you. And so she probably was tired of Rudolph in her tree. Like people saying, why do you have Rudolph in your tree? Anyway, so she let me bring Rudolph. And so every year we make sure Rudolph is in a place where I can find him and get him on the tree. What I usually do is I've got, and you probably do too, I've got some little things, advents where you put like little stockings and I put candy in them from the 1st to the 25th, or books that we want to read the whole way through. And so I have a little just bucket. Those are the things that we need to have the day after Thanksgiving to get our Christmas going. And I always put Rudolph in there so I don't lose him. So Rudolph is always there. So I know that when we get the tree, that Rudolph is going to go on the tree. And my kids all know. My 18-year-old was 19-year-old son was just over here a few minutes ago visiting me from my mom's house 10 minutes away. He just dropped by to say hi. And I told him what we're doing. And I said, I'm showing Rudolph. And he just shakes his head. But he knows the story of Rudolph. And I think that's the most important thing is that we share why these things are on the tree. And the other thing, I wasn't going to pull it off the tree, but it's my oldest daughter's favorite. We've got a line of lights on the tree that make noises. They're maybe it might be a bell tower and a ding dings when you turn it on, that kind of thing, little trains.
They're not like an electric
around.
Like an
so they're just, you have to plug them in and they make little noises, right? Hallmark at its best probably in the 80s, right? 90s. So one of them is actually a little message. We don't even get these anymore, phone message machine, and you push the button and it says something like, this is Santa, wait for the jingle bells. And it does this little thing. So every time she comes over, she's in her 30s, she wants to push that because it's not Christmas until she hears that that little thing go off. And so some of my kids, we gave them ornaments from the time they were little, so one every year. Some of my kids wanted theirs. I want them to put them on my tree. And I'm like, no, I said I'd give them to you, but now I renege on all your ornaments. But she says, Mom, it's more fun for me to come over and see my ornaments on your tree. That brings me back memories. So I think
that's a good line.
Yeah, it is a good line.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because she could have come and taken them. I had one daughter that she just came and took them. I'm like, she took them off the tree. I was like, no. But so it just depends on their personalities and what they want. But at first she did, and then we have a tree decorating party every year. So they all come over and put everything on the tree. And she's found that she absolutely loves watching her children put her ornaments on the tree, and then talking to them about those ornaments. So for now, Shauna's ornaments will stay on our tree. So anyway, that's what I have. Who would like to? What y'all got?
I'll go.
Laura. Okay.
I'm going to share my screen. I wrote a blog post a year or two ago. I don't know if this slideshow is going to work. Oh, it's going to load. That said something like, deck the halls with memories and stories. And
that's a great title.
Yeah. So but now this is not working. Anyway, so I'll show you this picture. One of the stories I have is growing up. Now we're going to generate a preview. Growing up.
It's okay. Just tell us and it'll work while you're telling us.
Oh, gee. Growing up, I'm going to stop share and I'm going to reshare because this is annoying me. Growing up, my family didn't go to church on Christmas Eve. Instead, we went downtown and there was a store called the Og W. Smith Company that had the night before Christmas. And my dad, it was like a diorama. And so my dad would read us the night before Christmas that was, there. And then we would go look at Christmas lights. So that was how we did it. And so one of the things I did, now I'm going to come back and share again, hopefully. So one of the things I did was try to keep that tradition alive through through our Christmas tree. And so I found a little book that's the night before Christmas, and he always goes on our tree. Yeah. Because it's just kind of like hearing it. And then this was a gift from my sister. And when that Og W. Smith department store closed, they sold off their ceiling tiles. They had these beautiful metal ceiling tiles. And my sister bought me one and made it into an ornament for me.
Oh my gosh.
That's so sweet.
So I have that so all the things that I have are really more family stories and traditions more than heirlooms. I don't have anything that dates back further than my parents. This was the little manger scene that we had growing up. Now my manger scene has the stable and the inn and a zillion people and worshipers and all that. But we had this very simple one growing up. But my mother also, she collected angels of different nationalities. So I kind of have this display where I have some of her angels that she collected. And I added this African-American angel, which is hard to find African-American angels. And they sit under a batik that I bought in Africa. And it's kind of more in the theme about how my family loves to travel. This is a tradition my sister and I did for each other's children. I made her a treasure chest with little boxes, 12 little boxes, and she made me 12 different kind of boxes. And these are the 12 days of Christmas. So from Christmas Day to the Epiphany. And you have little surprises or candies or whatever you want to do for the kids to
Fun.
open up. Let's see what else I have. This was the elf that was from my childhood home. He still kind of lurks around. This is an ornament that we bought in honor of my mother who loved to travel. And this is one that she brought us from Egypt.
Oh, wow.
And this is when she went to Egypt, she also got this plate from Syria, and it's Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus fleeing into Egypt. And
Wow.
I also think that treasures can also be the things the kids made in preschool.
Exactly.
This is a paper plate and a doily and a nice spoon. And this was just an ornament that's on was on my parents' tree as long as I could remember. This is a feather angel from when we lived in Europe. And and this is the tree angel. She's a wax angel from Nuremberg that was given us our first Christmas together by a good friend in Germany.
Beautiful.
And because my sister and I competed, my dad would bring home on Christmas Eve, he would bring home the gifts he purchased for my mom. He waited till Christmas Eve. He went to the big metropolis of Greenville, South Carolina, because Spartanburg was too far. And he'd have my sister and I wrap for him. He had such a good deal going. And then compete on who could wrap the prettiest presents. So we actually go a little bit overboard with that. And I thought the last thing I had is we had a friend of the family, and every year they would make a wooden ornament for us. And I thought I had one in here with my name on it. So a bit like you said, the ornaments you get each year for the kids, that was a big deal to get Mr. Giles ornament. So that's what I have. But so we don't have any heirlooms. We don't have anything that's really priceless in monetary value or anything from the grandparents, but we have the memories. And when you put all this up, and it's telling those stories over and over again.
Yeah. And that's the point right there, is telling those stories. I've got my maternal grandmother's nativity set. And then I've got the nativity set that my family used when I was a kid. And then the nativity set that my kids grew up with. So I've got this 3 sets of nativities. And the saddest thing is, no matter how much you wrap them and they crack, and baby Jesus will lose an arm. So, but I do have the 3. And I think what I'll do is, because they're packed up, because we're doing a lot of home redecorating right now, we didn't pull all of our Christmas stuff out, but I do have a blog post that I wrote about the 3. And so I want for y'all too, if you've got any blog posts written about any of your Christmas or heirlooms that you want to share, make sure you send me the link and we'll stick it in the show notes. Yeah.
We have tons of, when we travel, we've purchased ornaments or
oh yes.
So the tree is totally mismatched. I mean, I know people with the tree is completely coordinated, and
mine's not.
Mine's not.
I don't think we have more than 3 identical ornaments on the tree total, you know.
And that's what makes them more fun.
I like it that way.
Well, I like it that way too. I like it that way.
But Dan, you said you had a treasure from Hungary, right?
Yeah. So we, similar to Cheri, we have bags for each of the kids because we have 6 kids. And so we have bags, and they get ornaments from their grandparents and aunts and uncles every year. And so the intent is when they leave the house, then they can take their bag of ornaments with them, right?
Yeah, that's the intent. But wait till they actually want to leave the house and take the ornaments down.
That's why, I'm not going to let them see this episode, because then otherwise they'll learn your daughter's good line, and then they'll be like, I can't say no to that. And they've learned my weakness. So our tree right now is a very eclectic mix of Harry Potter ornaments and Star Wars ornaments, very centered on the holiday. Darth Vader, I think, has a Santa hat on or something.
Exactly.
But up in our attic, we have buried underneath other boxes of things, which is why it's not out, because our attic isn't heated and it's like 7 degrees out today. So but we have a box of the good ornaments, and in that box of good ornaments is that we hopefully someday will get to put up. We'll have one good Christmas or so, but we'll have we've got ornaments glass ornaments that my grandmother's mother brought with them as they immigrated from Hungary to America. And so we've got some of those.
What are they made of? What, when you say glass, are they like blown glass balls or?
No, they're blown glass, but they're birds.
Oh, wow.
So they're these little sort of blown bird ornaments, and they look extraordinarily fragile. And which is why I don't want any of my kids to look at them. Otherwise, they will just spontaneously burst the ornaments. So they'll just they will recognize that they have seen their destroyer and just shatter into 1,000 pieces. So the other thing that I really thought about bringing, and it's not really an heirloom because it's disposable, I guess you could say, is my grandma's Christmas birthday cake recipe. So we as a family, we always have birthday cake on Christmas because we're celebrating the birth of Christ, and so we have birthday cake as a part of that. And it's a very specific recipe that requires, it's not like, oh, buy a box of this at the store and use this box, or even something that, you know, say doesn't require yeast, right? So it requires yeast, it requires rising. My wife has made it once. I think like the first year we were here in Michigan and kind of having Christmas on our own. I was like, hey, we should make my grandma's Christmas cake. And so she made it, bless her heart. And then every year after that, it's become sort of our traditional argument the morning after Thanksgiving is my wife going to make grandma's cake, or is she going to make the apple cake, which is sort of very similar in style to grandma's cake, but it's not grandma's cake, right?
Is this the Hungarian grandma as well?
No, this is my dad's mom. So this is a different one. And so it's an argument every year, and so it's always settled with my wife saying, if you want it so bad, you make it yourself.
You make it yourself.
Right?
Might have a
So do you? So you
I take one look at the recipe and I go, yep, we're having apple cake. That's
Dan, have you ever shared that recipe with us?
I don't think so. It feels super long and complicated.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, if it's something that you wouldn't get in trouble for sharing, that'd be kind of fun.
Oh no, the only one that I'd get in trouble for sharing is my grandma's peach jam recipe, because that's like a family secret, and we thought it was lost forever when my grandma passed away because we couldn't find it in anything. And then my wife was going through some old recipes in a cookbook that my mom had put together for my wife when we got married. And she's like, oh, look, there's a recipe for peach jam. And I was like, what? And so like we immediately bought every peach that we could find in the store in Arizona and turned our tiny little apartment into a peach jam factory. And like I put some on a little piece of toast and tried it and almost cried. Like tears were welling up because it was grandma's peach jam that I thought was never going to be tasted by other humans ever again. And now we have like 20 jars of it because we grow peaches in our backyard just for the sole purpose of making peach jam. Like, we don't give them away. We don't do anything other than make
give them away.
Well, and my wife makes peach syrup, so it's just like no part of the peach goes unused. Like the tasty fleshy bits turn into the jam, and then the fleshy bits, and then the pits and the skins turn into the syrup. So
wow.
So anyway, that has nothing to do with Christmas. Just
yes, it does, but it's still memories, and sure,
Well, it has more to do with me wanting to have pancakes for breakfast tomorrow.
Most people have traditional meals around the holidays.
Or dishes,
yeah, absolutely.
We're ham people.
And have you found that somebody will say, well, I will make, say, the green bean casserole, if you're doing green bean casserole, and then they don't quite make it the same way, but you don't want to tell them because you don't want to be rude, right?
Yeah.
And then to hear something worse.
What's that?
You're talking about having the tree decorating party?
Mm-hmm.
I like to go around and change the way people decorated the tree.
Afterwards, fix it. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I've got a bunch of little grandkids that do it, so I need to because everything's all in one side and the tree is going to go.
Yeah.
So I have to. I have to. But yeah. Sometimes you just got it because you're looking at it and it's like, eh. But I do. I hate that when they mean well. They mean well, but they're like, oh, nobody noticed, but I used this and this instead. And you're like, we all noticed. We just didn't tell you. Right?
Right.
You just don't mess with tradition, you know? That's the thing. Is you don't mess with tradition.
Tevye was right.
He was absolutely right. Melissa, what do you have to share?
Well, since I think I told everybody that I pick up my Christmas the day after Christmas, and it's January 3rd.
I hope you save something out.
A lot of what I would consider heirlooms or family pieces are a lot of the ornaments, because we have. I don't have as many from when I was a child. My parents didn't save that kind of stuff. They were in the military and moved, and so they didn't save a whole lot. But my husband does. He's got a lot of things from when he was like in kindergarten and stuff, and his mother gave him all of those. And so we put those on the tree. We have things from when our daughter grew up. We have all of that, and she's not interested in it yet. And so we still have it on our tree. And I honestly don't know if I could let go of it yet.
I'm telling you,
it's hard. And so as we put it up on the tree, it's funny, you just go through all that remembrance. But I do have, and I know that they're real popular, but those ceramic Christmas trees.
Yes,
have
I've got one of those.
Yeah, my mother actually made the one that I have in ceramics. And so I've got one of those, but
Is it lit?
It's lit. Yeah.
Oh wow! So it's
got a base. It's got a base, and it's got the light bulb that comes up through the base.
Yeah,
and then you put the tree part over that. She made it herself in ceramics class. And so
my grandmother. I've got my grandmother's. I rescued it from being thrown away. Like, who wants this? I want that.
And every once in a while, I've got to go find little bulbs, because the little bulbs go in there. They're not glued in or anything, and then one of them will fall out and get lost. And so I got to go find bulbs. But anyway, so I do have something to show you, and it's something that I actually got this year. Ooh. That is very special to me and will be an heirloom. It is my grandson's hand print for Christmas. And how many of you have these kinds of ornaments?
It's
hung on the tree.
I do. And you know what? I hang them up, and I have a little tree in my bedroom. Where I hang all those things up, because I know, just like Dan was talking about with the little birds, that if I put them downstairs with everybody else, they're all going to get broken. And so that way I can see them and I can enjoy them, and the other kids aren't. And when they ask, where's my handprint, I can say, come up and show you. But they're not all there, swinging them around.
We only had one child. We only have one child, a daughter, and we only have one grandchild. We will only have one grandchild. And so he's 3.5, and this is what he made. And on the back, she wrote Justin's Christmas 2021. And I did not pack this away, because I've got it sitting on the windowsill in front of my sink in the kitchen, so I can see it the whole year.
Oh, yeah.
But the only thing is that I hope you can see the colors. I told my daughter, I said, I love it. I said, but it kind of looks like Freddy Krueger's sweater. The colors are kind of like Freddy Krueger's sweater.
Thought they look like elf stockings.
Yeah. Now I'm not going to unsee
stockings
that.
Are red.
But do you see the colors? Don't they look like Freddy
we do
Krueger's
now?
Sweater?
Yeah, now we do. That's all I'm going to see.
So
that's
it's
so
not
funny.
really Christmas green and not really Christmas red. So yeah. But anyway, so this is an heirloom. This will be an heirloom.
Of course. Yeah.
From now on, it's going to be the Freddy Krueger sweater hand.
I know.
There we go. We go.
But so all those that you're listening, the things that you get today, I'm an archivist. And so not only do we collect stuff from the past, but we collect stuff today for tomorrow, those graduation programs that you go to, the wedding announcements that you get,
Yes.
the funeral cards, things like that. That's what you're getting today. But in 100 years from now, they're going to be your ancestors' records. And so this is going to be an heirloom.
Absolutely.
So, but I didn't pack this one away because I wanted it to be able to look at it every day. So
my mom still has some of those that were done not for Christmas, but just in preschools for my kids. And we would send them to her, and they're still hanging in her kitchen around the wall. So everybody can go and look at their handprint.
My husband's that his mom saved.
Yeah.
But apparently doesn't want to keep it.
I'll say the other thing that we've got too, and I could really relate to Laura because our Christmas tree is a hodgepodge. It's really a hodgepodge.
Mine is.
But I saved when my parents passed away. Well, my mom did because my dad didn't put up trees for the 2 years and then he passed away. But so we went through the Christmas stuff and I got a lot of the really old from like the 1960s and 70s, those glass knot stuff you bought at the store. Balls and things that reminded me of my childhood Christmas and things we always put on our tree. And so I got a few of those and I put those up to help remind me of my childhood.
Right. Yeah. I've got some of those from my grandmother I've got a family history tree in my office. And so that's what I've got hung on those plus photos of everybody. So that's what I keep on there because I know basically maybe I can keep them safe up here, and Laura, I also bought a bunch of ornaments when we were in London and hang them, and I've hung them on that tree too. So the little taxi cab and the little phone booth and all that, I've hung those up on that tree too. So that's really fun. Just a special memory tree that just stays up all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes the ornaments are special because of who gave it to you.
Yes.
Right.
Or the memory of who you were with when you got the ornament or anything like that. Yeah.
My family got together and they gave me one that's it's colorful, it's tasteful, but it's a little treasure chest because of treasure chest memory.
Right. Yes.
And, so like Melissa said, it will become an heirloom.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's how heirlooms begin.
Exactly. That's exactly how they begin. And they don't have to be worth a lot of money. It just means that they're special to your family and you're saving them. They've got a story and you're passing them down. They don't have to be, worth millions of dollars or something like that. So.
I like to tease my husband that the oldest thing we have on the tree is something from when he was like in kindergarten or something. And it's one of those old timey clothespins that he made into a Christmas soldier.
Oh, yeah.
When he was in school. And the thing is so dilapidated and stuff. We put it on the tree every year and I tell him, I say, this is the oldest thing. It's going on the tree.
That's so cute. That's so cute.
Oh, that's.
Well,
so I know Melissa does. I know Melissa does a half-size tree, like a table tree.
Now we used to do a full-size tree, but the last couple of years it's just been a lot of work, and so we just went to a half-size, and we really like it a lot better.
What about Dan? With all those kids running around, I'm sure you have a full size.
We do. So and just the one. So.
Yeah.
We do. We do the basic full-size tree that has all just the family. It's kind of the kids tree, with all that kind of stuff. And then I've got one that is more of a fancier tree that sits in our sunroom because you can just see it from everywhere with the white lights on it. And then we've always, since the kids were little, had a tree in our kitchen. And it's just a cheapy little 6-foot tree from like Walmart. It's not, it's just a real cheapy tree. But we decorated and put candy on it, food on it, popcorn balls and cookies and candy canes and whatever we're deciding to make, that year. And so when people come over, they can go to the tree, their friends or whatever, or grandkids or whatever, whoever comes over, they can go to that tree and they can just choose something in that tree. So that's
does anybody was it any of y'all's traditions to have one of those wonderfully fabulous silver trees?
Oh, we had one growing up. And of course it sat on top of the console TV, where the TV
yes.
Yeah, my mom would not.
We
My
still had
mom
one
wanted
in the living room,
would
but
not
this
allow
was,
it.
this was in the den, and oh, I don't know what happened to it. It was something.
Yeah. And I have to ask, tinsel or no tinsel?
We used to do tinsel, but I haven't done it lately. But also,
We stopped doing tinsel once we didn't do, we had a poodle and he would eat the tinsel. And we were afraid, so we stopped using tinsel. But growing up, we always did, but my husband's family didn't use tinsel, and so
we did growing up. But I didn't use it this year. Some years I have a little container of, I think it's tin, just very thin metal, twisted metal. It looks like like ice. We call them icicles.
Yes, icicles.
Throw them up by the hand.
Of course, you get to the point where you're just doing that. No.
So growing up, we always had tinsel on our tree. We always had a real tree. Well, we always had two trees. One was a real tree, and the other was my sister's tree, which was an artificial tree because my sister is allergic to pine needles, which is probably, she's allergic to, which is the greatest gift a little brother could ever have, right? Because I had a ready supply of something that my older sister was allergic to. And I learned how to very gingerly thread it into the weave of her pillow. So at night it would brush against her cheeks, and so she'd wake up with a rash. It was the greatest gift a little brother has ever been given for Christmas, is her being allergic to pine needles. So we always had two trees. We had Amy's tree, and then the rest of the family's tree. Her elitist tree in the family room, and then like our tree in the living room. Her elitist tree. Her I'm too good for you guys tree. I'm about to break out in a rash on my face. Yeah. So anyway, so my mom was always very particular about the tinsel and felt that it needed to be placed on strand by individual strand, which drove my dad to like no place short of insanity. So he never handled any of the tinsel. And my sister could, before she developed her allergy, would very carefully place some on the tree, right? But she didn't have tinsel on her tree because it was an artificial tree, and that's an abomination to put tinsel on an artificial tree. Because, says my mom, and logic, because you have to take it all off, right? Like if it's an artificial, if it's a real tree,
leave it on. It's gonna be there next year. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so my mom always gave me the back. She's like, Dan, you can have the back. And I was so happy that I had the back until I was 13, and I realized no one ever saw the back. And so that's why she had me do the back, because my tinsel, I was happy to help, but I wasn't good. And so she always had me do the back of the tree. And so we do not have tinsel on our tree.
And you were 13 when you figured out no one
when you figured out this on the back of the tree.
I was a little slow. Thank you, Laura, for pointing that out. There could have been a few viewers that didn't figure that out. Mary's not here. It's not like she's going to make a roadmap for them with everything else. So somebody might have slipped by, but now Laura's like, hey, Dan was not bright when he was a teenager.
I can remember putting on,
limited it to when you were 13.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
I can remember a
period of time Dan was not bright.
putting that tinsel on, and my mom being, really, and then she'd walk out and Dad started going, let's get it on the tree. And she'd come back and so yeah.
My mom wanted to get not only a live tree, a tree with roots. And so we did most years, and then she would plant it in the spring, and about every other year it would survive. So by the time I went to college, you could barely see the house.
For all the Christmas trees.
6-foot trees are really fast growing.
Oh, that's
I've never had a live tree.
Took, I think, all of them out.
I've never had a live tree. I always had artificial trees. Of course, I grew up on Air Force bases, and I don't know, it was not something we did.
Right.
Oh, well, I grew up on Air Force bases, but my dad made sure, because
really, I just never.
We got a real tree, and he would always tell my mom every year, this year we're doing the artificial. No, we're not, because the bases would have trees. We could go get trees, and so we always had a tree.
Isn't it funny how I mean, if you look at couples, whether it's your parents, your grandparents, or you and your spouse or whoever, you each have different ideas when it comes to the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think we each have our own jobs. It's like my husband's job is once we get it out of the attic and we set it up on this little stand, it's his
Mhm.
job to arrange all the limbs, to get them
Mhm.
straight and everything, because I can't stand that part.
Scratches
And
you
then
all
it's,
up. Yeah.
well, I just can't do it right.
Mhm.
He does it, it's for pretty. And it's my job to put the ornaments and things on, because our trees have always been pre-lit because we hate to hang lights. We hung
Mhm.
lights when we were first married, and he had to do
Yeah.
that because I just couldn't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny how we all have our jobs, and we know
Yeah.
what we like, and how many of us have come behind one of the other and fixed it, you know.
Of
whatever.
course. Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
we've switched to having an artificial tree, and it seems to me like every year when we put it away, we end up sweeping about an eighth of the foliage of the tree
Yes.
into the
Right.
waste bin. And it
Exactly.
seems like by now we should have been out of tree, that it should just be plastic and metal, right?
It grows in the attic.
Right. Like, does it grow back? Is that what Santa's elves really do? Like
That's
during
what
the
they
summer,
do.
they go to everybody's attic and like add the stuff back on, because it
Yes.
seems like we should be out. So there's gonna come a day that my wife and I are
Yeah.
gonna pull it out, and there's just not gonna be anything left. And then we're just gonna Charlie Brown that thing and just put a single red ornament on it,
There you
and then
go.
just call it good.
Yep. There you go.
Oh gosh. Anybody else have anything? This has been so much fun. And, you know, sometimes I think as we're talking to each other, it spurs ideas, things that we didn't even think of would be a tradition, you know, because I know I've talked to people before and kids and what are your traditions? And they'll say, well, we really don't do anything until people start talking about what they do. And then they'll start saying, oh wait, no, we do this and we've done this. And we, you know, we take maybe your family is one that drops treats off, you know, to neighbors' homes and just doorbell ditches. And we had to doorbell ditch my daughter because she's really sick and she's got some discs bulging in her neck. And so everything is just on top of everything else. And she wanted a milkshake, and from the Crazy Mason. I don't know if you guys know what the Crazy Mason is, but they make these the best milkshakes. Like if you get something with, like, I don't know, she wanted the peppermint one to have a peppermint piece of cake on the top of it, then peppermint ice cream, and then it's rolled on the side sorry, with candy. But she couldn't get it because she was sick. So we doorbell ditched it and just hoped and prayed that it didn't melt all the way before we could get it to her. So, you know, we do things like that. And so things like that do become part of your memories and your traditions.
I
So
would
we
say
all
though,
do things.
in addition to making sure the family knows the stories, write them down.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of our most funniest family stories is my dad's, and I won't sing it, but my dad's rendition of We Three Kings of Orient are. Bearing gifts, we traveled so far, and then they started talking about smoking their cigars. And it's just like,
Right.
it's not. Have you heard that one, Dan? So,
I have, yep.
yeah. And so we start to sing it and we can't. And it's just really funny. And Dad's not here anymore, so we sing it for him, you know?
Yeah.
And he always said, after we unwrapped everything Christmas morning, he always said, well, it's all over for another year. And I think on Christmas Day, that's the one thing that I have missed more than anything else since he's been gone these last 3 Christmases is 2 Christmases, is that him saying, well, it's all over for another year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just
Well,
a traditional.
to end it on a more positive note, what happened at my house growing up,
Sorry.
invariably, my mom would be looking around at us with all our open to get gifts and say, oh, and someone had a forgotten gift that she had stowed somewhere else.
I love that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have taken over that not this year, but a lot of years. I'm looking around and thinking, wait a minute. And there's somebody that got a gift or that I forgot to put out or whatever.
That's so funny. Well, you know, that means you've always got
Really
somebody
over
still
for another year.
hoping. Yeah, somebody is still hoping. Every year, you got somebody waiting to see if it was them. That's kind of funny.
Well, I wouldn't be the archivist that I am if I didn't say that also be careful how you're storing your Christmas ornaments and things. And so I've got a couple of blog posts about ornaments and about Christmas cards I'm going to send to Cheri to put in the
Great,
show
good.
notes. about preserving those, because those are delicate, and when we're putting those away, we need to put them away properly so that they can survive every year, but so that our children and grandchildren, as we hand those down. So I'll send you the links to that.
Don't take the bins and throw them into the storage unit, please.
Yeah.
Which they have a tendency to do. It drives me crazy. So trying to keep things for you people.
Yeah.
But did anybody else have anything else they wanted to share? This has been a fun discussion as we get to the end of the holiday season, and we're thinking about those things that we had decorated our homes with, and the things that we did, and things that we want to continue doing and passing down to our children, so they can then pass them down to their children. So, and that won't happen unless, as Melissa says, we preserve them. And of course, as Laura says, we tell the stories. It's just going to be a thing. It's just going to be a thing if we don't tell the story. I mean, really, who's going to want to? I mean, who's going to keep this guy? Unless
everybody's going to love him because you loved him.
Right. But they need to know the story that's why he's on the tree. And so my kids do know, and I'm starting to tell my grandkids that's why this Rudolph, what's he doing on the tree? Well, let me tell you.
You have to explain why their toys can't go on the tree.
Well, maybe. And one of them came to me and they had a real special thing they wanted to put on the tree. Maybe we could work it out. So anyway, well, thank you, everybody. I sure appreciate you taking the time. And I know it's the end of a holiday season, and everybody's kind of tired and going, where am I? And what day is it? And we got to get moving into 2022. And with that, I would just like to say, we'll see everybody next time. And we hope to hear from you. Tell us about your Christmas traditions and your heirlooms and the things that you want to remember and share with your family. And we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.